everybody come in with shorts.
I mean, it's 100 degrees out, come on.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Oh, Ed's taking us all out on the boat?
Huh? Sure.
Is that what's happening down there?
He's buying us all shorts.
Buying us all shorts.
And taking us on the boat?
Only if you're in shorts.
I
Don't want to dance on the
all
boat.
my shorts are like short shorts, so I can't.
Can we wear a bathing suit?
Sure. You be you, Denise. You be
I'd have to have a couple life jackets on, because I don't know how to swim.
Ooh. No.
Are we ready?
Somebody like you push me in the dirt.
Yeah. Hold on.
She's gonna come.
You three come.
She's putting on the golf.
I don't remember.
Michelle.
They didn't ask, and I talked to one of the partners, and he goes, well, we don't ask, and I go,
She's
they've been here a lot.
Somebody's been putting money in her
We go, well, we used
pocket.
to have a fundraiser.
No,
It wasn't the fire department. They did it for us. And he goes,
Maybe it was those people.
Yeah,
I always give you money. Yeah, I know you always have. I
Yeah.
don't remember any.
Okay, are you guys ready? Yep. Got us on. Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna call this meeting to order at 7:02 PM. You guys would please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, I do appreciate it. Okay, Katie, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Queenie Mars,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson,
Here.
Trustee McManus,
Here.
Trustee Ed Helm,
Here.
Trustee Richard Tovar,
Here.
Trustee Denise Brennan.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we will continue on. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Richard Toker and a second by trustee Denise Bryan to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of June 28th, 2023, and I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the June 28th meeting as presented by staff.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Ed Hallam and a second by trustee McManning to accept the minutes of June 28th, 23 as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Okay, and next is audience business, and that is for anything that is not on the agenda, and looks like, Jody, you're here for something that's on the agenda, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and so are you. All right, we will continue on with the announcements. Heather, do you have any announcements?
I do have an announcement. I will not be here next month at all.
Okay.
It's on his paycheck.
I do have an announcement to make, and I will bring my plaque next meeting to show you all. It's a beautiful plaque. They are going to redo it though because Kevin didn't know who I was because the plaque says Ellen, and he goes, Ellen, when did you get up here? So I got a nice plaque for my 100 hours for the university, and Cindy got nominated as she's got her 30 hours, so she has started giving her university hours. So it is, we're going right along. So any of the classes and things that you guys take from CML, you guys get credit for them. So please keep track of your hours. Okay, moving right along, the treasurer's report, June bills and claims. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. Heather, on the Mancos Conservation District, that 58,000, what is that for?
So we are a pass-through with the Dole grant for
Yeah.
their construction project. So we pay the expenses and then the grant reimburses us and then they pay us the difference.
Oh, I see.
So it's an expenditure, but we're 100% reimbursed.
Right, so that's just another pass-through grant. Okay, we've done that before, so, okay,
We did that to make us calm.
yeah. That's all I had.
I had a question. The window for backhoe, what happened? Is, was it just old or?
This is on the new back road.
Oh,
One of the guys was driving down the road, apparently the window wasn't all the way.
oh, so we've gone over with them that they gotta be careful.
We talked about some safety issues.
Oh, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's hard to hang up my hat as a former occupational safety officer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve bills and claims as presented by staff.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Richard Toger to approve the June bills and claims as presented by staff. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sound. Okay, motion carries. Next is our committee reports. First is Montezuma County, and I don't see Gerald here. The Montezuma County Planning Commission is tomorrow night, Region 9.
Region 9 will have their meeting at the end of this month in a couple weeks. But they did send out an email and talked a little bit about they're trying to draft a study report for their substance treatment is being finalized. If you guys remember, that SWORD was the opioid money that we got. And so Region 9 is kind of picked up the ball and is going to help identify solutions for the opioid treatment. So they're trying to set up a substance abuse treatment center. So that's kind of, and I think what they're getting to do, ready to do, is a study, a feasibility study.
Okay, Siva.
No meeting this month and not until August the 10th.
Mancos Planning Commission.
Next week.
Meetings next week.
They meet next week, and you did report last month.
We have a joint meeting on Saturday.
Yeah.
Thursday.
Okay, and we're gonna have another workshop on the 22nd, a joint workshop with planning and zoning at 9 o'clock again.
9 o'clock here in Town Hall.
Okay, so Ed, you weren't at the meeting, so we're gonna have another joint, if you could. Right, okay. Okay, all right. Discussion and action items, the open container permit and noise ordinance exception, 2023 Mancos Days. Heather?
I will turn this over to Justin.
So I'm gonna ask the board to approve the open container for El Rio for the Mancos Days and the noise ordinance exemption due to the complaints that we've had, and there's going to be a live band there. So it just makes it clean for Mancos Days, and it only is for the 28th through 30th. During Mancos Days from noon to midnight.
So 2 nights?
3 nights. So and generally the band's in Royal Park or what the marshal's office property is, but because it's over at Pioneer Plaza, it'll make it cleaner. Complaints, we can address that if there's an exemption, if they're not violating any noise ordinance, with the band being out there.
Okay.
So that's the idea on that.
And they have permission to stay open until midnight anyway, right? I mean, that's.
Well, I mean, it
or-
doesn't, it's, the liquor license is just the expansion of the liquor license for this one event.
They actually have permission to stay open until
Till 2.
2 o'clock.
Oh, till 2.
Yes, it's
Right.
a full service.
Okay.
They're full service
Okay.
bar.
All right.
But the noise is
The noise is going to be extended by 2 hours with the exemption.
from
Okay.
10 to 12.
So from
All right. I'm
and
following.
also midnight.
I don't get out much.
The,
Well, come out Mancos Days, I'll buy you a beer.
Janice,
Friday-
wait a minute,
Just,
Janice,
since there's been complaints in the back, are we gonna give the neighbors around there a little heads up? This is gonna be a band here and we're gonna go late, so
That's it's every resident's responsibility. Understand this has been published, this goes on every year.
Yeah.
If we start doing that, we're opening a door. Now, are we gonna do that for Grand Summer Nights for anything that they do? Are we gonna do it for Borough Fest? Are we-
the only reason is because this was going a little bit later than
Oh,
normal.
No.
Like Grand Summer Nights is ended at 7 or whatever, I just was saying, I was just thinking, so for yours, taking care of you more, that you're gonna get all these complaints.
I don't want to.
I know you
and because it's gonna start a precedence that would be hard to ever set back on.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't have staffing for that.
Okay.
Vegas Days put out a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's on the Wednesdays.
So they know that, okay.
Schedule on Wednesdays.
Well,
okay, Nick wants to talk.
yeah.
I can give everybody a chance to talk. Nick, you have questions?
The Friday and Saturday night makes sense to me, going to midnight on Sunday night. Any,
That's just how it's been every year.
okay,
So it's the same thing that they've done every Mancos Day since I've been.
Okay.
Say that.
I'm usually in bed by 8 on Sunday, so.
Cindy, did you have anything?
I did, but that cracked me up. Like, you're waking up to go to bed at 8.
Man.
Yeah, I can't think of what I was gonna say. Must not have been very important.
Richard, do you have anything?
No.
Any comments?
No.
Ed?
No, in the past, for, being here forever, we quartered off many different places in the street, Grand, we quartered off out in front of the fire department. I mean, it's a tradition. It's nice to see it come back because it does bring a lot of people in at the time. So, I think it's great.
Yeah, it looks like Sunday, according to Main State schedule, most things want to shut down by noon anyway, so
Yeah.
maybe a moot point.
Mancos Days on Sunday is shutting down.
Yeah.
Well, we usually have the water fights and then they have the rodeo out. And so some of them may come in after the rodeo, and celebrate a little bit, but that usually goes sometimes till 8, 9 o'clock. So,
Yeah.
but it is, we used to have the rodeo, the Gymkhana over where,
Yeah.
the, nursing home is back years ago. So, it's been around for many, many, many years. So I think it's nice that they're bringing it to attention and to a vote. So I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for open containers permit for 28th through 30th during Mancos Days for the
And the noise
and the
ordinance.
noise.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Ed Hallam and a second by trustee Janice Bryant to approve the open container permit submitted by LVO Cantina and authorize an exception to the noise ordinance at this location until 12 a.m. each day of the 2023 Mancos Day celebration. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Hallam.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Topar. Trustee Janice Bryant.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Good luck.
Yeah.
Next on the agenda is the cooperative agreement between the Montezuma County Department of Human Social Services and the Mancos Marshal's Office. Justin again?
So this is just a housekeeping agreement. By statute, we're supposed to sign it to work with social services to dual investigate at-risk adult and child abuse. This was due the 1st of July, and the board is just now seeing it as there's a new director of social services. I wanted to wait until I got to meet with her before I put it through the board, just to make sure I understood the director's vision in and what social services is gonna work for before we sign this. And I'm comfortable, signing this agreement. It was reviewed by legal. There's only one change to the agreement, nothing big, to itself renewing, where we don't have to put it forward to the board unless we have an issue with it.
Anybody have any comments? Denise?
No, I haven't come.
Nick? Ed? Cindy?
No.
Richard? Okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll authorize the town marshal to renew the attached agreement between Montezuma County Department of Human and Social Services and the Mancos Marshal.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Richard Toker and a second by trustee Nick Manning to authorize the town marshal to renew the attached agreement between Montezuma County Department of Human and Social Services and the Mancos Marshal's Office. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Hill.
Aye.
Trustee Richard Tucker.
Aye.
Trustee James Brown.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Moving right along to a donation request and Heather?
This was, I think, on the last agenda, and I apologize, I was not here, Mayor Barge wasn't here, and
Oh, you're fine.
Trustee Simpson wasn't here. So when I returned to the office, we did the meeting, and what I heard was,
See ya.
and what I heard was they wanted to table this until more of the board was present, so I added this to the agenda.
And we do have somebody there.
And I will say Linda is here, on this product item, so if you have any questions for her.
I think what happened at the last board meeting, we just felt that it was something that the whole board should have that decision on. Expending $500 of allocated money for something, three of us just kind of felt that it was better if we had the whole board here to discuss it. Yes.
I think that that's cool. And I think that because it's in honor of Michelle and she gave decades of her life to this board and mayorship and P&Z and everything else, tree board, I mean, she did it all. I think it makes absolute perfect sense to do this.
I agree, because the group that was there wasn't against it, they just felt
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
better if we all
Right.
stood behind it or not.
Yeah. So, those are my thoughts.
So my thoughts are, yeah, she was here for all those decades, but she got paid for those decades too. This is taxpayers' money that we're giving out to sponsor a golf hole, okay? And we have grants in place for nonprofits to come and get money out of it. Just taking it out of the general budget, not the place.
Well, and I'm gonna say that once we start this, and we're setting that precedence, because we remember we didn't do a tree for Ravella, we didn't do a tree for these other, Betsy, we haven't done, those things, and we're starting the precedence when we start doing it for one, if I kick the bucket tonight, I don't expect you guys to do something in my memory, and Ed's put in a lot more years than I have, but again, we start that precedence when we do that. It is my only.
I mean, if us as the board want to donate our personal money to it, that's one thing. But the taxpayers of Mancos shouldn't have to foot the bill for that. We have nonprofit grants that they can come and get. And we offer them every year, twice a year.
Denise?
Well, I like what I've heard everybody say. I agree that, I spoke last time and thought, Michelle really has done a lot. Are we setting a precedent? Yeah, that went through my mind. And we do have time when nonprofits can come and apply for money. So I'll just listen now what other people have to say.
I'm conflicted. I'll be honest. I mean, I really, yeah, anyone who dedicates their life to public service is someone that deserves recognition in my book. I also agree with the precedent piece and kind of fiscal responsibility piece that we have for the entire town. And so it's not black and white to me. I don't have a clear-sighted answer on this one.
We've had several, we've lost several board members, and we just lost Betsy, and we,
Sure.
and
And maybe it's not about standardizing a process of recognizing them, but creating some way, a precedent. I think it is, I think it is worth having a precedent that acknowledges people who have contributed to this community. I'll put that out there.
The question to Heather, which fund does this $500 would come from?
I would probably take it out of agency contributions, even though we're at budget on that, I would take it out of agency contributions.
And that was the last 600 that we gave out.
Correct.
Okay, so that fund's kind of at zero, but you're gonna.
That line item is zero.
Oh.
I do not believe it will be in reserves because we don't line item budget our general fund, we do revenue and expenditure. We're generally under in expenditures, so it wouldn't necessarily require a budget amendment. But I would just take it out of it as a contribution line item, and then that's a cost. I can make that.
Yeah.
did we give everybody else, how much money did we give the other agencies? Did we give them,
We gave several of them $1,500 each.
That was the first round,
And the
and
second round, we split it, was $750?
Yeah.
Right.
Something like that.
The money that was left.
Yeah.
Money that was left, correct. So there was 3 years, I think that we gave 704, we gave $750 to the second round.
Can I ask Linda something? Can I ask you something?
Yes.
Okay, so when we had our, nonprofits were applying for the funding that we provide for the nonprofits, did you just not come apply at that time, or was this not on your radar yet? This is something that you thought of afterwards, or? I guess I'm just asking, like, okay, why weren't you guys here applying?
I was unaware of the opportunity.
Okay.
I am much more familiar with the opportunities in the business world than the nonprofit world. And just recently have taken on this previous head of Michelle's with Lynn. She passed last year at this time. And so the golf tournament last year was pretty unsuccessful. And so when I found out about that, I connected with Lynn. My husband Matt is very active in golf, particularly at this golf course, because he's pretty good at rounding up players for it. And I committed to finding some sponsorships to be able to complete all 18 holes.
Okay. Thanks, Linda. Yeah.
well, I know Lynn is very aware of the nonprofit, because she has applied, Medicine Horse has applied in previous years, and we've given Medicine Horse a grant money contributions. So I guess, Ed, do you have any more comments?
No, we're kind of in a rock and hard spot here because it's a totally worthwhile organization. Michelle is very worthwhile. The only thing I'm not comfortable with is that, are we setting up a bad precedent? That's the only thing that bothers me. I'm all for it. I'm willing to, the board's all willing to throw chickens and money to the board, but it's totally up to
We do have, we can always say no in the future too. There's the slippery slope argument is slippery in and of itself. We have a really strong argument here to support somebody that took care of our community for years and years and years. We can always say no in the future. I think in some ways, I agree about the president piece, that's the part I'm conflicted about as well, but we also, it's not like we're committing funds for the years to everybody. It's just it's a one shot to, show appreciation to someone who served our community. I mean, that part I can get behind. And I think the precedent piece, we can say no in the future if the argument's not strong enough. That's my only piece about that.
Well, I guess I will, anybody else have any comments? I will entertain a motion.
So it's my understanding that should do positive motions, positively worded motions for legal purposes. And then if people don't want to, they can vote them down, right? Okay.
Or there can be no
Um,
motion.
Or
Yeah.
if it's not seconded, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right. So I move that we approve a donation of $500 in honor of Michelle Black to the Medicine Horse Center for their annual golf tournament.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson and a second by Trustee Nick Manning to authorize the board to do a $500 donation to sponsor a hole in the Medicine Horse Center golf tournament in honor of Michelle Black. Jamie, would you call the roll?
Mayor Pro Tem Cindy Simpson,
Aye.
Trustee Nick Manning.
Aye.
Trustee Ed Helm,
Aye.
Trustee Richard Turcott,
No.
Trustee Denise Bryan.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So, Heather, if you will.
Linda, we'll get the check back. Should we be able to draft the motion?
Yes.
Okay, moving right along is the utility financial hardship draft ordinance discussion, and Heather.
So there was some discussion, energetic discussion, at the retreat regarding the utility hardship clause that used to be in the code, was no longer in the code. And the consensus was that we wanted to discuss this again at a public meeting with some draft language. We did not agree to move forward with it. That was not part of the discussion. It was just we would like to see some draft language, and we would like to discuss this again. So I am putting this before you for discussion. You are by no means required to take any action after your discussion. And I believe what we did was David drafted some information if you are inclined to re-add a hardship clause. This information will get you started.
God, it's such a tough one.
It's just like the last conversation.
Yeah. You don't want to be a hard ass, and you don't want to also be a bleeding heart.
This feels way more sticky to me than our last conversation. I mean, it's too vague for me, even the language. It's just, it's not clean enough to give a yes or no decision. We put this on a staff person to kind of say yay or nay based on their subjective inference of what someone brings to them to indicate hardship. It's too messy for me.
Same. I think that I'm not really for it at all, but I totally echo what Nick just said. Like, who's to say, layoff or reduction in pay or unemployment, well, maybe it was their fault. Maybe they got caught with their hand in the cash register, and they just got reduced pay or something, So, I mean, it's like, yeah, you want to say we'll help people, but, this would basically exclude most of the people in town from having to pay. So I feel like the part, so when you have the authority or the discretion to waive the late fees, introduce, or reduce interest or whatever on utility bills, and the written payment agreement plan. I'm thinking that rather than all the rest of it, where we just let people out of it, and we have to judge if they've spent money on silly things or not, I mean, that's awkward, you know? I think that if we allowed you that discretion for a 12-month period, because honestly, like the people that, you know, sort of had the issue this past year, you know, it was like $5,000. I could not pay that off in 6 months, and I have probably one of the higher paying jobs of people in Mancos. And yeah, it's a full-time job with insurance and everything. And I wouldn't be able to come up with that. So I think that for me, I would rather see y'all have the discretion to waive late fees and interest and do that written payment plan for up to 12 years.
12 years?
Or 12 years, 12 months, I'm sorry. Yeah, woo, that was a misspoken word. And then I think if we could craft some kind of language like once per property or once per lifetime, you know, some kind of easily trackable, which is why I'm thinking by property. Because honestly, if, you know, my pipes get old, they blow out, I have to come up with $6,000 or whatever to fix it and pay off the town or whatever. They should be all set to go for the next 20 or 30 years, you know, at least. So I think, you know, some kind of a, you know, not to exceed more often than once every 20 years for the property, or I don't know, something like that. So that's, I'll shut up now, but that's what I would rather see.
And I was really, the layoff or reduction in pay or unemployment, to me, that's, I like Cindy, it could be, you know,
Anything.
it could be anything. The only thing I was thinking is, you know, I mean, you've got an elderly couple with a death, and all of a sudden, the husband's Social Security is gone until she starts getting hers or something. Those are the situations that I'm thinking possibly might need some help until, you know, because it does take a little while or a major disability or something, you know. But I mean, just a loss in your income, because I mean, I just lost, you know, one of my incomes. You can turn the air back on. I just don't have that freezing. But you know, that's me. I think it was a little too much. And I agree with Cindy with the 12 months and possibly once every, you know, 10 or 20 years ownership, because, you know.
The thing that, you know, years and years and years ago, you had to come to the board, and that's an embarrassing situation.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Right.
But, so I don't like that, but, you know, there's just so many variables in what could cause this to happen. And the affordability factor, so it's really tough. I think the way Cindy said it, you know, we're not negating it, we're just extending it, and that's where I like it
Right.
a little better. Yeah, understanding you had a something went wrong, you're under a hardship, we're not gonna make you pay tomorrow. We're gonna give you an extended payment, and we'll work with you on that. I like that more so than just saying, oh yeah, you're forgiven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes us out of the role of our people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but your
You're
credit
still
counselor
responsible.
said you're, you know.
But we still acknowledge, we still acknowledge the hardship. I like the way Cindy set that up. That's right.
Isn't there nonprofits out there that they can go get money from?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, there's a ton of those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think the way Cindy presented it to David, could you work that out?
Yeah, I think so. I think we want to
we'll take out all the negative events that we described.
Mm-hmm.
And, just kind of revisit the discretion.
Well, you did write that, which was very helpful. Every hardship is taken on a case-to-case basis.
Yeah.
So that would be the only thing to leave in there.
Yeah, because staff only,
Yeah, like then we can, and the only other question is, how often does this happen? I mean, do you guys see this frequently, or is this,
Okay, so it does not have to happen often. I currently only have 2 payment plans in effect for the entire utility billing system.
Okay.
And what happened, like Ed was saying, years and years ago, they had to come to the board. And then the law changed, and now we have what's called the red flag ordinance, where we can't share publicly utility information, account information, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when that went into effect, the board, and I've been here, so I like actually putting this into an ordinance, but what the board at that time did was said, you know what, you can waive up to $30 in late fees on time for someone.
Okay.
Without having to worry about it for the town administrator. And said, and then you can enter into payment plans, and if they're paying the payment plan on time, continue to waive the late fees.
Okay.
Because our system automatically applies a $10 a month late fee
Right.
every time the bill is above a certain.
Okay.
So that saved us from breaking the law by coming to you. If a citizen comes to you, that's up to them. But the staff can't at a public meeting provide individual.
Right.
Yeah,
account
gotcha.
number, you know what I
Out
mean?
somebody's utility bills
Right.
and
So
the fact they're broke.
that's when that changed. And generally, over the 10 years or whatever, it really, I can count on one hand
Okay.
the number of times I've had to utilize that discretion.
Okay.
And this is a direct result of one instance.
Yeah.
So I like the thought of taking, the board is still okay with the $30 and you can do this. And I only do it once for a property owner. I generally, we will try to suss out the reason, and there's usually a good reason. Someone had an emergency and was out of town and they had a water leak, and when they came back, or, so there's generally a good reason. I will very rarely, though, everybody gets one chance, because I am not your doing it. I do for one, I do for all. It's not, I don't get to choose who gets a $30 reduction or who, if I'm giving it to one, I'm giving it to everyone. But I do make it clear, I only have the authority to waive $30 one time. After that, I can't help you. So I like the thought of adding that process to our code now, because it's just kind of never been done. It was always now that this ordinance is in effect, go ahead and do this, because we do still want to work with our citizens.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Absolutely.
I absolutely do not ask them to provide income or.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the last instance is a very, very out of the ordinary circumstance. Generally, people come to us when they've got a couple $100 that they can't pay. It's a true hardship.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's generally resolved within a couple of months, and they're back on track and everything's good.
Okay.
So we do internally work with citizens, but we will, like I said, do it once. And then there's a place in Casella where we'll make those notes so people after us know when the property is sold, those notes stay with the property.
Okay, good.
So they will not transfer to the new property owner. So we can put that once per property owner, that kind of thing. I think we can put that in here, and I can work with David on,
Yeah.
first what I do right now, make it legal and put it into
Yeah.
an ordinance. And I think that would kind of solve the issue.
Okay.
What it will do, though, is moving forward, whether you want to do the town administrator or the town clerk, the board will no longer have discretion. You really don't now, but so when people come to you, it will become upon whatever staff is in place at that time to say, I know it's horrible, and I'm sorry, but this is the determination.
This is what the ordinance says.
And this is what our code says.
Okay, Richard had his hand up.
So Cindy had a good idea with the 12 months, but my deal is what if they can't get their water paid off in 12 months? Can we extend it? If they can't get it caught up in that
I
time
only
frame.
have one that will not be paid off in 12 months, generally. And in
No,
the
I mean-
years, 15 years that I've been here, nobody's ever gone over 12 months, except for this one that's currently.
I mean, do we put something in place where you have discretion, you know, especially if it's a huge water bill? I mean, it'd be hard to pay a $3,000 water bill off in 12 months because you'd have to give them $500, almost $400 a month.
That's up to you guys. That piece of it is difficult. The longer we have to track things, obviously. the more
Yeah.
difficult.
I mean, we don't want to be a lending company either. I mean,
But at the
I get
same
that,
time,
but.
we count in the calendar over my years pops up. That is absolutely up to you guys.
I mean, I think the 12 months should be sufficient enough, but if it's you know, if they're gone for 3 or 4 days and that water's running, I mean, that thing could be $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, especially out of that, off the meter pit, you know?
Well, and again, I think it's, why was the meter running? I mean, if there was a death in the family or, you know, emergency,
Yeah, but,
like, you know, I mean, again, you know, we just,
but we can't be judge and jury on that
that's,
part.
Right.
that's
I
true.
mean, we're just trying to alleviate the huge cost up front.
Right.
I mean, and some of these people can't afford $200, $300 a month, you know, they're on Social Security and stuff. That's just what I'm thinking. But, I mean, I'm okay with the 12 months, but I just know there's some people out there both on Social Security and they're living pretty much month to month.
That is, that we will make work whatever time period.
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like, I don't know if this works, but like you have your 12 months and if you haven't got it paid off, then we can renew another 6 months or whatever. But again, in this clause, it says every hardship is taken on a case-by-case basis. So I think if you couldn't pay it off in 12 months, then, you know, we can reevaluate.
Or if they're making an honest effort to
Yeah,
pay it.
Right,
That makes
and
a
they're
difference.
on the payment plan and they're making the payments. that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I think I agree. I think we need to be careful because, like, I know people who, you know, have emergency surgery and then Mercy will, you know, work out a payment plan with them and they'll say, how much can you afford per month? $5.
Yeah.
You know, so there's abuse that can happen.
Right.
So that's why I was kind of going with you know, up to 12 months, spread it out. I don't care if it's 12 or 15 months. I think if it's usually more like a couple $100, it's probably sufficient.
Like I said, I'm okay with it. I mean, I was just thinking that there are some older folks here that, but we'll just make do. And it's like you said, it's case by case.
Well, and there's agencies they can go to for help.
Right, absolutely.
You know, I mean, every kind of utility has some.
They're not gonna pay the $3,000, but they might pay their 1 month payment or something, you
Yeah,
know, for,
Yeah.
to give them a break to get started with it or something, so.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement to leave it at the 12 months and have them bring it back to us?
Sure.
Yeah.
With those
Yeah.
the
Yes.
changes?
And then
Yeah.
take out all that stuff in the middle.
All that stuff.
All that stuff in the middle, other than the hardship. By case
The
by
case by case, yeah.
Yeah.
David and I will make some changes to this and bring it back to you.
Okay.
And
Okay.
thank you for the work. That was,
Yeah, David.
those were really good lists.
Thanks, David.
Even though Cindy threw them all out.
Yeah. Even though I don't like them, they were good lists. Very well done.
Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the comprehensive plan, chapter 9 review.
The P and Z has reviewed the draft and the final, and so this will be the final unless the board has any suggestions on what to do.
I looked at it yesterday and I couldn't find anything really that stood out to me.
Nor I.
No, I didn't find anything.
I had a couple things, as I do.
Okay.
At the bottom, the page numbers say 28 of 34. I don't know if that's the PDF count or, okay. Where it has jaywalking and the picture of somebody walking across the highway. At the bottom of that first paragraph where it says the crossing still poses a safety issue and is pedestrian unfriendly, I think I usually see something like that worded more like, and is not pedestrian friendly. That seems like more how I've seen it. And then you could check and see with P&Z maybe, if in the next paragraph, second line from the bottom of that paragraph, where it says mitigate potential impacts, do we want to say potential adverse impacts, or is that splitting a hair too fine? That was something that I had. And then on the next page, the entry features. Again, second to the bottom line, currently there are 2 signs on either end of town welcoming travelers to the Mancos Valley. Those are Chamber of Commerce signs, right? And do we need to spell that out in here? I don't want to give the impression that they're actually town signs.
Well, I don't know, that's just features of the town. I mean, just like those.
Right,
Mancos-
but they're,
Just like those Mancos signs are sitting on 3 poles,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, I didn't
I
know.
mean, that might be kind of a hair too tight, but.
Yeah, and then in page 30 of 34, it says unattractive entry points. I wonder if they could maybe flesh that out a little bit, because like that's so subjective. You know, because things like visibility and, you know, things like that are more measurable. So I wish they had included a little bit more.
I think that came directly from the original document.
Yeah,
So they probably, but we'll figure that out.
yeah.
Okay.
And then I just,
I think that is a constraint, and so down at the bottom under actions, they've got to collaborate with the community to design entrance features,
yeah,
so.
yeah. I just didn't know what they meant by unattractive entry points, because there were people that were all mad because Livewell had green on their walls.
Right.
You know, or is it because there's a liquor store? You know, it's like, what's unattractive? So I just wish that was fleshed out a little bit more. And then I had just kind of a question. I don't really guess I have a problem with it, but on 31 of 34, it says on the very last line, install covered benches. And I'm just wondering why covered? That seems really pricey.
The planning commission talked about how they walk from like here to their homes after the meetings or during the day. And they thought it would be helpful to have benches and then have them covered, so if it's raining or too sunny, people can sit under them. That was, I believe that was the discussion, wasn't it? They have a long ways to walk and we put covered benches.
Okay.
I know the benches over here during Mancos days are full all the time, when they're at City Hall there. I mean, they're full all the time.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, they'd be used.
Okay.
If I'm remembering correctly, I think that was the discussion.
Yeah.
I know they wanted more benches around town, you know, further down, you know, because as people walk.
And then on page 32 of 34, and I think that's my last one, is the blight conditions on Railroad Avenue. That seems kind of harsh.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of a harsh word. So,
the other side of the tracks.
yeah, I mean, maybe
You
like,
want to use adverse right there instead?
maybe, you know, or just kind of, I don't know, just blight, you know, makes it sound like all the houses burned down and got left there. It just seems kind of mean, like if I lived there, I'd be like, well, yeah.
Favorable, adverse, on the traffic.
Adverse conditions or, yeah.
It's still a downplay on.
You still have kind of an unsightly, but, you know, it's still kind of, I mean, they did spell it out, they did flesh it out a little more, which is what I asked for in the other one. So, I just, blight seems kind of, harsh. And then they know that, like, we're really not gonna get a pedestrian under or overpass, right?
I believe so.
Okay, I mean, we can leave it in there
What I
for
tell
friends.
them every time we talk about this is a plan.
Yeah.
I'm not, even after it's adopted, I'm not gonna run out and work every single page.
Right.
Look at every single one of these goals and constraints and
Yeah.
potential actions.
Yeah, it's just the town can't afford that, either one, and I don't think we'll really ever be able to.
I did notice one thing in here that, you know, it's trivial, but it's State Highway 184, Frisco North South. Again, it's on page 27. It says, arterial beginning of the town of Mancos extending 18 miles north and west to the town of Dolores. Well, it continues all the way to 160.
Actually, it continues to 491.
Yeah, 491. Well, that's what I meant, 491, not 160. I'm sorry, it continues on. It doesn't end at the town of Dolores.
It doesn't even go to the 10 dollars.
Huh? No, it doesn't go to the town.
It's 2 miles short of Dolores.
But, you know, the way this reads it, it's like it dead ends at Dolores, but it continues all the way to what we now call Cox Corner.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
That's what it's, the sign, it used to be Dawson Lake.
So this is,
for miles and
this is
say north
184B.
Yeah.
And that's
So the intersection of where it terminates at 666, I like that.
Or you could say this, Heather, Highway 184B ends at Highway 145, 18 miles north of Mancos.
But
Because 184A takes over from the roundup, or from the roundup
Skyline.
to Skyline. That's 184A.
So State Highway 184E.
Right.
Or, yeah, but I mean, we're getting trivial, but I'm just saying, you know, the way I look at it, 184 starts here and ends at 491.
But that's CDOT's language. That's how we determine where, when they call it out, that's A and this is B.
But, I mean, I just thought it was funny that it says it terminates, you know, west of the town.
Or just say 184 is 26.6 miles long.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm not saying 26.6, I'm gonna say approximately 27.
Yeah, and just leave it at that. Don't even say that it ends through Dolores,
27 miles.
by Dolores.
That's why we use
Beginning
everybody.
and
Yeah.
yes, extending approximately 27 miles.
I'm good with what the CDOT people want.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
All right, I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
More information.
Thank you. Anything else?
Nope.
Do you all want to see this again, or do you want staff to just kind of make these changes and finalize it?
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Make it finalized.
Awesome. Okay.
If you make those changes Cindy's made, it'll be complete.
Okay. I will do that.
Okay, next on the agenda is the Southwest Health Systems discussion, Heather.
So we've been, all right, so there have been rumors for several months about things that are happening in the hospital and here in Vegas. And so I've been working to try to flesh those out, and I was really trying to keep it quiet when I was trying to do my research, because I did not want to start any rumors that were incorrect. And then the hospital had some public meetings related to some actions that they've taken. And so the cat's pretty much out of the bag, I think, at this point. And so I've talked to a couple of you about hospital thinking. I'm not in health, so I've kind of been trying to do some research and talk a little bit about this before. And I guess what I'm looking for is a little bit of direction. Where I am at as the town administrator is we want to do everything we can to save or keep healthcare services in our community. So I did reach out to the previous CEO, the interim CEO, and I didn't get very far. But they do have, the hospital does have a new CEO coming in at the end of the month. So I may be reaching out to him once he's been settled in. I do know that the county had some hospital staff members at their county commissioners meeting while we were in CML. We watched, Jason and I watched the meeting on YouTube to see kind of what's happening. So there is some concern about the viability of services at Southwest Health Systems. And we don't know how far this extends, we don't know what their plans are. All, as a town administrator, I have just been trying to figure out, are we going to be able to maintain our healthcare services in our community? So there are a couple of things that I have found out, and I have not been able to attend their board meetings. So Southwest Health Systems nonprofit board runs the operations of the hospital, and they had several vacancies on their board. I did read in the newspaper that they had multiple letters of interest, but because they're a nonprofit, they do a lot of things in executive session. So I'm not able to get kind of know what's happening, just like we don't talk about executive session. And I can't necessarily attend a meeting because the Southwest Health System meetings are the last Wednesday of every month, starting at I believe 5 or 5:30. And 9 or 12, 10 of those conflict with our last board meeting of the month. So our board schedule conflicts with the Southwest Health System schedule. And then the Montezuma County Hospital District is the political subdivision, the taxing entity
that owns
the asset, the property specific. So, and their meetings are the second Wednesday of every month at either 5 or 5:30. They do have a vacancy on their board, but again, they conflict with our board meetings. So, I guess I'm looking for a little bit of feedback from the board. The county is absolutely taking the lead. They're meeting with the hospital. They're setting up a meeting with the hospital board. It will be a public meeting at the county because they're subject to open meetings laws. And Montezuma County Hospital District is subject to the same rules that we are. But Southwest Health Systems is not. So I do not know what their bylaws say. I do not know what's required or allowed to sit on their board. They're a self-selecting board. So I guess what I wanted to do is just kind of bring this up when all of us are in the same room at the same time to see if there are still concerns, what the board would like me to do, and just kind of have a discussion as to what do you have ideas, do you have suggestions, do you have questions? Just get a little bit of feedback to see what else or anything else I should or can do.
I know that some of the retired doctors in the area have been very involved as of late in trying to help the whole scenario. I kind of feel that at this point we should take a little step back and wait and see for a month or so. The new CEO, I've had discussions with a couple of physicians that I know about what they're seeing and you know, how the last CEO was not very effective or participatory in the process. So I kind of feel like right now, whatever we get into is going to be in flux until they kind of get their sea legs and get everybody. But I know that there's much more interest involved in the professional level with some of the existing doctors and the retired doctors that are still in the area that are very, very concerned about the process and what's going on. So I don't, that's just my guess. Just give it a little bit of time. But I think we need to keep our finger on the pulse but I don't know if we need to jump in and start CPR yet.
But I wonder if we ought to possibly maybe change our meetings from the second and fourth to the first and third, so that we could attend some of those meetings, so that we can stay on top of it. I don't,
You know, is that this board's task? That's my question.
Well, as far as a board member, I'm here to ensure that Mancos continues to thrive. And without a health clinic here, we probably won't thrive. So I don't know if we have to change the meeting, but maybe change the time of the meeting and don't have a workshop that one week or whatever. But I have a couple questions. So I talked to somebody high up in the county. They are looking at possibly changing the operating factor of the hospital, whoever manages the hospital, the company that the county hired. They are not very happy with them. They're in the process of probably looking at another company coming in to run it. It'll probably take a month or so. But my biggest concern is Southwest doesn't own the clinic here. Have we reached out to who owns the clinic? Is that something possible that the town could be interested in purchasing and maybe putting getting doctors that want to start their own business here?
MCHD owns the property. I would imagine there's some type of non-compete in place. Now, I don't know any of the legalities of it, but I could potentially request a copy. I do think that they will give us notice I think we'll get official notice if we're talking about closing it.
I would hope they would.
And that's one of the reasons that I had reached out to the interim CEO, was to try to flush some of those out by going to the source.
Because I kind of agree with Ed. I mean, if we start attending the meetings and stuff, that's a good positive thing that we're concerned about our community. But also, there's not a lot we can do in those meetings, all right? But we can be on the backside looking at how can we succeed for Mancos. You know, if we can get the clinic and purchase the clinic and then put doctors in there and they pay for the clinic. I know it's been done before, Ed's over there grinning, but you know, we have moved up 35 years since then also too.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm not grinning. In fact, I'm just
But I think we ought to work in the background.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm grinning. I don't think we should jump in and change our meetings and all of us go to theirs or try to get on their board. Because then, you know, if we become a member of their board, we're not a board member here when we're there. You can't say on the town's behalf,
Right.
because that's not what we're doing. If we need to do it as a town, as a board, we need to do it collectively as a board to board. We can't, as Richard or myself, get on that board and say, and this is what the town wants, because we have no representation of the town when we're sitting on that board. So that's, you know, you have to separate those two.
yeah, I wasn't necessarily saying getting on the board, I was just saying being able to attend their meetings.
Well, just so the board's aware, I am considering getting on the board.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, I've been considering. I can be in harm's way with this decision, so I've weighed my options very heavily. I do know a couple people on their board, so I probably have a pretty good chance of getting in it, but one person doesn't have a lot of power on the board either.
Right.
And I can be in harm's way.
Which board is it now?
The Southwest Memorial.
Well, which one of the two? Is it
The nonprofit one. But my wife works for Southwest. She's worked for them for 17 years, so I don't want to put her in harm's way either.
Yeah.
No.
I agree that we should maybe do a wait and see in terms of changing meetings and things like that. I think that case by case basis. I think that, you know, if the topic of the evening necessitates somebody going, you know, go. and will stumble through a meeting without you. Or, you know, if Richard or Nick, I think you were kind of really invested in it as well. You know, if somebody's really invested with whatever they're talking about that night, then I think it's an excusable absence from the
Or
board.
would that be a good economic development coordinator position for him to be at those meetings?
Yeah.
Because it is economic development, or, yeah,
Yeah,
community development, more than the administrative position. So that might be something where Jason could attend those meetings, because he,
And he's probably a heck of a lot smarter about that stuff than I'll ever be, so.
but I mean, he could just attend the meetings, and bring back the information to us.
yeah,
Well, and don't forget that most of what a nonprofit does is going to be an executive session.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Right.
counties are,
But,
So
yeah.
I mean, and I don't, there have been some changes. My initial reaction to my meeting with the interim CEO was, I was definitely a lot more worried after that meeting. I walked out of that meeting.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was, I was very, very worried about the future of this clinic. Listening to the Board of County Commissioners and hospital discussion last week, or was it 2 weeks ago? There's still so many unanswered questions. But I do think that, and at the time that I was meeting with the CEO, it wasn't on anybody's public radar.
Mhm.
So I do think that we could potentially take a wait and see what happens with the county and the hospital board.
And the new CEO.
And the new, I was just gonna say, and then the new CEO coming in, and, if they are in fact gonna make a change to management, I don't, you know. So I do think that, knowing that the county is also, has the same concerns, or is on the move basically with this, does make me feel a little bit better. But I do want to say that, I would like to kind of continue to do a little bit more research and what happens if they close the clinic, because that's where I'm not sure. I don't know anything about SHS operating, I don't know what agreements they have in place with NCHD. So I don't think it would hurt, because if the clinic stays open, that's all we want. I don't necessarily think that we should be too concerned about who's running it, who's, you know, who's
Yeah.
just need healthcare services here.
Mhm.
So if it turns out the clinic stays open, great, I'll file the information that I researched. You know, we've got some files like that, you all know that, and then kind of move on. But I may still spend some time, if you all are okay, with doing just some due diligence and some research, maybe from a legal standpoint, as to what our options are if the clinic is planning on this. Because I do still have some questions about non-competes and that kind of stuff. So, if the consensus right now is to kind of wait and see, and if we hear of a public meeting that conflicts, or we can pay attention at the county commissioner level, and I can watch those meetings and bring information back to you all. But I do
It's a
think
great
that-
topic for our next board meeting with them.
Well, and maybe that's what we ask them at the joint workshop.
Mhm.
And then kind of make a decision. But if the board is okay with me spending some time, I may still continue to meet and reach out and maybe request some information from the CHD.
Yeah, I mean, just to explore our options, you know, what if, and
I think we need to be proactive. I mean, a lot of this is out of our hands, but, having a clinic here is a really important part of our community. For the growth Mancos, in terms of livable communities, right? School, church, medical services. And we really, I like this idea of wait and see. That feels a little bit too passive for me, to be quite honest. I think we do need to do that. At the same time, the research that you're going to do, I think that relationship with NCHD is really crucial. If they own the facilities, we need to have kind of a plan B or a plan C of what if Southwest Health Systems evaporates the clinic. What's our backup option? What legally can we do? that feels like a really important tether to MCHD, to have a relationship to them somehow, whether it's someone from this group that's on their meetings, or just somehow we need to have that. And then if it trips towards they're going to close the clinic, we got to have already done the work, so we're not sitting on our heels waiting.
Right.
So it's a yes and on that one.
I agree, Nick. I think that's important to just know what they're saying, and at all costs, we got to keep this clinic here open. Whether we find another group, they need to give us some leeway. And I don't know who in that organization is going to let you know. So, I'm sure you don't know either.
Okay. Well, so I'll continue to keep this on my radar and my to-do list, and maybe reach out to MCHD and ask some questions. Does SHS have to provide MCHD with notice if they're planning on closing?
Yeah.
And maybe give us an update when you get information, critical information that,
And if executive session, if we need to get inside the tent, so to speak, then I think we need to do that. I think it's imperative that we know what's going on.
Okay. All right, so I'll just kind of keep moving forward, keep an eye on what's happening at the board, the county commissioner meetings, and then just work with staff to see.
I think the county commissioner meetings are where the authority is going to come from.
All right, and I did meet with the managers a couple of times, both county and Cortez and Dolores, and I met a couple of times when all of everything was blowing up in the public. We did meet a couple of times, so we're all aware of it, and I'll just not let it fall off my radar.
Yeah.
And just kind of continue to maybe do some research and just hold it in the file.
I just think, like dropping our meeting dates and changing them, and that's an awful lot for what's hopefully a temporary issue.
I have heard good things about Joe Biden, the new CEO.
It's from Durango.
So
Yeah.
I'm hopeful. I'm more hopeful now.
That you was after last meeting.
Oh, yeah, my last meeting was at the hospital. Not good at all.
Bless you.
So I'm much more hopeful now that we know Joe is coming in. I've heard great things about him. So
Does he know what he's getting into?
I have no clue.
I mean, he's from the area.
Yeah.
He's not new. He's been at San Juan
He's
Basin.
got it.
He's
He's
been,
got a lot.
Oh, sure.
Enema Surgical. He knows the community.
So I will just gonna keep doing some research, and if I have the permission, I'll bring it forward. If anybody hears anything, drop me an email. I'll add it to my list of things to confirm. Because I do want to make very sure that we are operating on actual facts and data.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You don't like hearsay?
It was tough trying to flush that out. I think we walked out to those. So, all right, so I will do that.
Cool.
Okay, so moving right along to items for the July 26, 2023 agenda. We've got the workshop, the joint Board of County Commissioners workshop at 5:30. And are we,
Providing food for that?
We will be back.
okay. And the Mancos Gives program discussion and the banning of pet storage discussion. Anybody have anything else that we're gonna put on that?
I kind of do. It's not like specifically important timing wise, but I have a question and then maybe I had an item. The bills and claims, the format that they're in, how we get them now, is that like Jamie retyping information from the Cassell system?
Half of it, yes.
Half of it,
We
okay.
export it to Excel,
Mm-hmm.
and then we compile, so like David, has several GL numbers,
Oh, sure.
so, we do retype everything. There is we can try next month.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we make a note next month to print the report from Excel
Yeah.
and give it to you all for approval?
Yeah.
You can tell us if you like it or don't like It will have the same information, but you may see 4 different versions.
Right.
We originally started in this format when we were publishing it in the paper because they charged us.
You betcha.
space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At one of the last elections, the citizens approved of publishing it on our website for free. So we don't have a cost and
Yeah.
expense issue anymore.
Yeah.
So we'll run it out of Casell next time. All we do is then type payroll
yeah.
on one side and.
Because if it's like a format that we can basically digest, it would save, I think, a lot of time. And I feel like we ask staff to do so much
We do.
that if we can cut out weird little things like that, I
James
think
nodding, by
it's,
the way.
yeah. I see your cheeks going up, so I know you're smiling back there.
You know what, we'll put the Casell report into the next packet, or in
Yeah.
the first packet for August.
Yeah,
And then at that time, you can let us know, yeah, we like it, or no, we don't, it works or it doesn't.
okay,
And we can give it.
Yeah.
Okay.
thank you. Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? All right, next on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Manager.
Also, you, Bob.